Showtime! The Capital G show starts right now.
What's up YouTube, Capital G here. We're talking Necloths in this video. For those of you guys who don't know what Necloths are, or maybe you forgot about the last video that I made on them, Necloths are basically a new ritual archetype that's going to be coming out in Secret of Evolution. I believe that is the set that comes after the new challengers. And so far, I mean, there's a Brio version, there's a Trishula version. They're kind of like human versions of, you know, former synchros and stuff like that. Now, this one is the Necloth Unicore, which it's a little surprising. I kind of thought that it would be gun gear because, you know, they were kind of following the whole ice barrier thing, and now I guess they switched it up because Unicore, if I'm not mistaken, that was a fabled monster. So maybe they're doing like just dual terminal cards in general, because I believe that fables were like a dual terminal art type. So anyways, it is a level 4 water spellcaster ritual type monster, 2300 attack, 1000 defense. The effect reads: you can ritual summon this card with any Necloth ritual spell card. This card must be ritual summoned and cannot be special summoned by any other ways. Discard this card. Okay. Discard this card, then target one Necloth monster in your graveyard except itself. Add that target to your hand. You can only use the effect of Necloth Unicore once per turn. While this card is in a monster card zone, the effects of all face-up monsters special summoned from the extra deck on the field are negated while those monsters are face-up on the field, but their effects can still be activated. Okay, so the more that I see Necloths and their support cards, the more that I like the art type. You know, just like Brio and Trish, this one looks highly playable. And for a level 4 ritual, 2300 is not bad. I mean, I remember the days of, like, you know, Paladin of White Dragon, and I think he was like 1900 attack or something like that. So 2300, it's pretty legit because that's generally big enough to get over anything that isn't out of the extra deck nowadays, unless you're playing against like Batterymen. That might be like the one exception or something like that. And just like the Necloths, you know, the Brio version and the Trish, this one has a built-in hand effect that makes it really good, because if you ever draw these Necloth monsters and you don't want to summon them because maybe you're being locked down by a Vanity's Emptiness or some other garbage like that, then you can just discard this card. You can target any Necloth in your graveyard and then you can add it to your hand. And the way that I look at this is, if you look at Brio is basically a Lone Fire Blossom for the entire archetype. So this card combos with Brio perfectly, and it's looking like the deck is going to be pretty damn fast, because anytime that you've resolved Brio, like the turn after, you can just use Unicore, and then you can just get the Brio, and then you can just activate Brio, and you can search whatever the hell you want. It's kind of like using Spellbook of Master to copy Spellbook of Secrets. And then, you know, I think that the on-field effect is pretty good. I mean, it's not the greatest thing ever. And if you look at the format right now, I don't know how it's going to be, obviously, when Secret of Evolution comes out, but you look at the decks, you know, especially the decks that came out of Duelist Alliance, they really heavily rely on their extra deck to get shit done. And when I say get shit done, I'm talking about get rid of big problem monsters on the board. You know, maybe Burning Abyss a little less, because that deck can run 3 Phoenix Wind Windblast, and they can run 3 Karma Cuts. But you look at S-Knights and Yang Zing, you know, they use Deltaros and Baxia to get rid of whatever the hell you put in front of them that they don't want to see. So I look at this card and I'm just like, you pretty much turn those guys into straight vanillas. As long as you have something like a D-Prison to make sure that your monster doesn't get ran over, you should be pretty safe. I guess that would go for Shadows too. I mean, yeah, hypothetically, you can use your Shadow Fusion to summon Construct and try and attack, but if I just D-Prison you or evac you, then you're pretty much SOL. Now, I will say that I'm not particularly thrilled that they made it so that your opponent can still activate their monster effects on the field, because even though they are negated, if you're a smart and savvy player, as most of you guys are, you know that there are some serious workarounds with that. For instance, your opponent could just activate a card effect like Deltaros, and then they could chain Book of Moon to put Deltaros face down. He's no longer face up on the field, thus his effect will go through. You know, even if you're super desperate because this is your opponent's only monster and you've got a bunch of cards and you just want to get rid of it, you can even evac your own monster and still resolve your effect that way. And I really say that because if you look hard at all the extra deck monsters that we have in the game, there are some out there that can seriously circumvent Unicorn's effect. I'm looking at you, Stardust Dragon. I mean, Stardust can basically just be like, I'm going to activate all I want, because its effect activates and resolves in the graveyard. Thus, I mean, Unicorn just can't do anything because it's not on the field. So if you make Stardust Dragon, you're basically laughing at your opponent. You don't lose any of your stats, and you can activate your effect as much as you want. You know, nonetheless, I still look at this card. I like that, you know, all of their monsters aren't high level, because I said that, you know, I thought maybe Ophion could be a problem for this deck, but, you know, they are getting some level 4s, and I think that this effect to get any card out of the graveyard is going to work perfectly with Brio. It's going to speed the deck up. Right now, I'm liking this. I'm looking at this, and I'm like, we're really about to have rituals be relevant again after God knows how many years, maybe like Herald of Perfection, and before that, years and years, you know, Demise. Like, I don't know how long ago that was, but I mean, rituals are just an archetype, or they're just a mechanic that was kind of forgotten. You know, advanced ritual art, I think, is still at 1, and it's good that Konami is giving rituals more support. Thank you guys for watching. As always, let me know what you guys think of Necloths, how they're shaping up. The artwork on this card is absolutely beautiful. I have a suspicion that we're going to see a Gun Gear Necloth sometime soon. I mean, it wouldn't make sense to have Brio Trish and not Gun Gear. I mean, that's kind of like the Trinity for Ice Barriers, and then, you know, like the Trinity for Evil Swarm too. So subscribing makes life happy.